Welcome to the Secure CIO, the podcast for technology executives who are tasked with hiring and retaining great cybersecurity leaders. Join best-selling author Claire Pales together with industry thought leaders as they answer your questions about sourcing the right leaders, building cybersecurity teams, candidate selection, salaries, skills, and more.
A few weeks ago, I put out to my listeners via LinkedIn to decide what the topic would be for the last episode of Season 4. And while it was a close race, the decision was that retention of security leaders was the topic that you wanted to hear about. So that's what we're going to talk about today, and I might talk about the other topics maybe in Season 5, but for now, I wanted to chat through some information about retention. A good friend of mine recently reminded me of the saying from philosopher Seneca that luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Many CIOs and leaders often say they feel lucky that their security leader is still with them, given that retention in security is such a challenge. That luck could be just the CIO who has put in effort, not just with the security leader, but with their executive peers, the board, and third parties to support the security leader's success. There are many opportunities for security leaders every day. Exciting work and higher salaries, depending on what entices them, is on offer across Australia and the world. So what is it that keeps them coming back every day to your organisation and under your leadership? The first, second and third priority for security leader retention is hiring the right leader in the first place. I've spoken before on the podcast about really thinking through the type of security leader you need. You might need someone who is deeply technical. You might need someone with great board and executive presence. You might need a leader with experience in rolling out data loss prevention programs or particular regulator experience. Not all security leaders are made equal. As a security leader becomes more seasoned, their skills shift and their salary often rises. Choosing the right leader with the right level of experience to lead your organisation's security function depends a lot on their skills, but also depends on the leader knowing what environment they're about to walk into, which is on you as the hiring manager to articulate this to them. You need to be able to tell them what you expect from them and what success looks like. Hiring a security leader who has a value alignment with your organisation is also a really important starting point. And then thinking about if the person you hired or the person you would like to hire doesn't quite tick all the boxes but is close. They might have just the right amount of skills, but also some stretch needed to be successful in the role. Not so much stress that they feel they're constantly being challenged, but with enough stretch that with your help they can deliver outcomes and find the role rewarding. And then there's resources. Are there resources for this leader? Both people and finance resources. And if not, has it been made clear to the person in the leadership role when they joined the business that there wasn't any scope for a team? Or on the flip side, that they were going to have to deliver massive uplift projects. I won't bang on too long about resources of budgets and tools because I'm really all about the people in security. However, I will say this, bringing in a security leader is not the start, middle and end of your expenses. To achieve great things, your new leader will potentially need funding for automation tools, third-party assessments, detection and monitoring tools, testing, compliance, cloud-based security applications. Staff training, certification, and keeping up to date through conferences or courses also costs money. So if you plan to make security a business priority, you must reflect this in your budget. Not just borrow from Peter to pay Paul, but truly allocate security spend. And then retention of security leaders also requires exposure. When I was researching my book, one of the CIOs I spoke with suggested that despite the new security leader coming on board, he still saw his role as the educator of the board on all things security. This approach can work fine day to day, but when there's a breach, the board needs to know who is the person that's managing the risk, the issue or the incident. Meeting them for the first time during an incident isn't ideal. With global cyber events on the rise, I wonder how many boards have recently met their security leader for the first time or after a long hiatus between updates. Boards are made up of people who are only human, and their concerns branch from uncertainty and lack of information. So a security leader can increase the board's knowledge about the state of security affairs and provide a regular, valid, business-relevant update and a clear view of risk and the plans to minimise and mitigate such threats. You want to provide certainty that cyber risk is being addressed for the board to build trust in the security leader. Most security leaders really value the time in front of the board to hear the commentary straight from the horse's mouth. They can ask questions and answer questions. Keeping that security leader under wraps does nothing for their confidence, and it does not prepare them for future roles where board exposure is key. So, to recap, retention of security leaders includes, firstly, choose the right leader for your organisation's security needs today. Be able to articulate what success looks like and go on that journey with them. Support the leader to address the stretch in their skill set needed to succeed and to find the role rewarding. Be clear about the resources available, both financial and human. You must have some idea about this given the state of your overall organisation. If there's little to spend, be honest about this. Or if there's a big job to be done, like hiring a team of 20, this is also important. Recruitment takes time, and if you're planning a new operating model, you can't do that overnight. And give the security leader exposure to the key stakeholders, including the board. They need this experience today and in the future, and a great way to polish your executive presence is through practice. So that's how to keep the leader, but what feeds attrition? Let's look at a couple of things that the security leader doesn't need and that can often put them off remaining in their role. Firstly, a security leader is not the owner of every audit finding for the whole business for the rest of time, or for those stray audit findings that haven't seen the light of day for a long time. Yes, audit findings often lead to management commitments based on new or improved security controls, but a lot of audit findings have nothing to do with information security. Please ensure the new leader or your current leader doesn't get lumped with managing all of IT's audit findings, which often happens because security is perceived as a close partner to audit. And the other thing is, your new leader can't be all things to all people. It's become apparent from security job ads that most security people are required to be a jack of all trades. Compliance people are needed to be security people, or the fraud guy needs to be the information security leader, or the head of information security also needs to be one who's analysing event logs. Businesses are seeking one person who can solve all their security problems. It seems common sense to say that one person can't fill the role of many, but many job ads today, it seems that this is the expectation. This can lead to burnout and resentment, especially if the tasks keep being piled up on top of an already packed workload. One of the key things I've learned and heard many security leaders speak about is that once they're in the chair, they are expected to deliver with very little support. In my book, I talk about how hiring and retaining security talent is an ongoing task. It's in the final chapter of my book for those of you reading along at home. You can't set and forget these people. You can't imagine they will be able to function without support. Leaders certainly feel overwhelmed when they first join an organisation. And after the initial flurry of activity, greeting the exec team, bedding down the strategy, kicking off regular security meetings, the hard work is certainly lying ahead of them. As a CIO, your role as a mentor and business leader is really important. The CIO's workload is growing. You're becoming more strategic and you have more than ever on your plate. I am not suggesting in this podcast that the new security leader or your current security leader is or will ever be needy. What I am suggesting is that even if you don't know a lot about security or you can't offer subject matter expertise, your leader will likely need your support to rally the troops and raise the profile of security initially and in the longer term. Your support is a huge part of their retention. If you need more information about retention, hiring, or creating the right security operating model for your organisation, please head to 27lanterns.com and reach out to me there. That's all we have time for today. Thanks so much for listening. For more information on all our guests, check out the show notes at thesecurecio.com, where you can also find more information on the Secure CIO framework and sign up for my newsletter. If you loved the show, please subscribe to the podcast and feel free to leave me a 5-star rating. I'll see you next week.